Let's watch Tucker in his latest crash out as he continues to realize things are not heading in the direction he wanted them to head. His narratives aren't working. MAGA didn't follow him when he turned on Trump. Yeah, Tucker's life is not going where he wanted it to go. That honeymoon period he had with MAGA from 2023 through mid 25 is over. And Tucker's not happy about it. So, but instead of seeing the light and coming along, he's doubling down.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of
It's the Jews. It's the Jews. That's what he's doing again.
Its own citizens. That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, right. MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation. And they're not doing that. So no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
Well, we all know that's not true. Listen, what did Tucker just tell us? He just gave it away. I've been a staunch defender of the Republican Party for 35 years. Oh, you mean when it was controlled by deep state globalists? When it was City of London's paid opposition, controlled opposition? That's when you defended it? And now that Trump's here, the Republican Party is suddenly immoral and controlled by the Jews? I think you just gave it away, Tucker. Thanks for letting us know. Thanks for letting us in. We get it. But as far as Tucker's arrogance that so many other people are out while the Republican Party just continues to grow. Here's Tucker's current odds on Kalshi for president. We have JD at 41, Marco 30, Tucker is at 5%. That's all those people following him away, right? Very interesting. So Tucker, thanks for letting us know who you really are. And, but like we didn't know. But that's a big tell. But Tucker, again, the further you go, the more its assets deployed, the more you got to be open, the more you got to show people who you really are. That's exactly what Tucker's doing, because now he's so far in, he can't hide anymore. So it's becoming more and more apparent. And now Tucker is trying to get, we're going to talk about Tucker's and JD here for the next couple segments, because Tucker is doing a whole new thing with JD Vance. Now, see, Tucker, with Trump is going to save America. We have to have Trump in. I love Donald Trump. And then Trump got elected. And Trump started to do things that Tucker didn't agree with. Or more accurately, he started destroying the deep state and it started pushing back City of London's tentacles and everything. And then Tucker turned on him. Most obviously after Iran, which nothing that Tucker predicted happened in that. Now, Tucker also has associations with JD Vance, and I get this all the time. Tucker and JD Vance are close. How can you trust JD Vance? He's Tucker Carlson's best friend. It's just not true. But Tucker did go in on JD Vance. That's absolutely true. And Tucker has associations there. That's true. The question is it a warning, or was Tucker just being what Tucker was with Trump as well? Because we've seen Tucker do this before and turn on people. So I contend that the Tucker JD Vance thing isn't what a lot of people are afraid it is. And here's Tucker trying to play both sides while also giving some interesting advice to JD Vance.
I would march into the Oval Office and say to Trump, knock it off. This is ridiculous. This is the opposite of what we ran on. What are you doing? And you either stop doing it, or I'm going to give a press conference every single day from my house and explain to the world what you're doing and why. And I'm going to attack you. I don't want to, but I'm going to.
Well, that's pretty much what you've done
for the country.
That's what you've sort of done.
Well, no, but I'm saying if I were vice president,
yeah,
and
If I were vice president. So he's telling JD, you need to get out there and fight Trump on this and attack Trump. What's JD doing? He's making the rounds right now talking about how wonderful Trump is and what a great leader he is and how he's so much better than anybody says he is and how the policies are working. And JD is gone. He's doubled down. So is this Tucker trying to exert some influence? If it is, it's pretty proof positive that he doesn't have it. Or is Tucker just trying to throw a wrench in for a lot of people who are susceptible? I don't know.
And I wouldn't get anything done. I'm not sure. What I'm saying is that I'm not sure that that's the right thing to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
JD Vance, and this is obvious if you watch him, has a different personality where he's always trying to make things better. He doesn't throw up his hands in rage and say, you're too disgusting, I'm not dealing with you. He says, I disagree with this, that, and the other thing, but what can we improve? And that's a different way of operating in the world. It's a way that I respect. I respect him for that. I always have. And I'm the guy who's like, you know what? You make me sick. I'm out. Of course, they're making decisions on the basis of other criteria. What's best for this company? What's best for Israel? What's best for our donors? I mean, I just want to say again, that's unacceptable. That's not just...
The lies here are just so insane. Okay, so first of all, Trump and JD Vance have both come out and criticized Israel in the last week in major ways, and Israel clearly doesn't like the deal with Iran. So, but we don't need to go down that road again. But how about the donors' role? Well, we were told that Trump's controlled by Miriam Adelson for Israel. That was just debunked. The biggest donor to Trump was Elon Musk, who gave $250 million in the 2024 election to the Trump campaign in different ways, shapes, and forms. And what did Trump do? Well, in the big, beautiful bill, he pulled all of Elon's subsidies. Said, you're not getting these grants anymore. Sorry. The thing that makes Tesla affordable is gone. I'm cutting it. Sorry, Elon. Yeah, that wasn't helping his donors, is it? So, but, Tucker, his truth isn't what Tucker's concerned with anymore. He's only concerned with narrative, if he ever was. But here's a little more on Tucker and Vance.
At this point. What's your take on JD Vance? Do you think he is still America first? Because I know you were friends.
I love
with,
JD Vance.
You do.
I know. I know JD so well, and Vice President Vance, and I've known him since long before he got into politics, and I know his family well, and my wife knows. I mean, I think of him as a friend. I will always think of him as a friend, and I was an ardent advocate for him being vice president, for him getting elected to the Senate. I've always been a big JD Vance fan because, and I remain, I think he's in an impossible situation. The vice president does not make the policy. The vice president works with, but really for the president. He can't be fired because he was elected, but he works for the president. The president chose him. And this president has completely betrayed his own voters. And so that leaves the vice president, who was the hope of many of those voters, including me, in a horrible situation. And every day I feel sorry for JD Vance. Every day I say a prayer for him.
Do you talk to him still?
I always consider him a friend.
See, the way he's framing it is very interesting now. You guys hear what he's saying? That JD is now the victim. By the way, when he says, I've known JD Vance since well before politics, really? Because Tucker, that doesn't even make sense. You knew like this drug-addled family from Appalachia? Or did you're quite a bit older than Vance. Where did you meet in the Marines, in Yale, which is where JD did his graduate school? Where did you meet JD? Very interesting. None of that makes sense. JD didn't really enter politics until the 2020s. So this whole idea of like Tucker knowing Vance a long time, it doesn't make sense. Now, I don't know the whole story. Maybe there was a connection there at some point, but it really doesn't add up. Now, do I believe that Tucker saw a young JD Vance, this guy in his late 30s, early 40s, and thought, oh, here's a guy who we can push. Here, he's got the talent. Yeah, we can bend him to our whims. We can create another establishment figure out of JD. Do I believe that? 100% I believe that. And if you guys don't think that's always happening all the time, you don't know how this works. They all meet each other. The media, the politicians, They all know each other. The Epstein files prove that. Everybody knows everybody at these levels. That's just a fact. And so, anytime somebody brings up the, well, they knew him thing, I'm like, yeah, they all know each other. That doesn't mean anything. But they're also always looking for who to groom. And here's what I continue to contend with JD, and I believe this is totally backed up by his actions. So until proven otherwise, which is going to take a lot of convincing for me, until proven otherwise, I continue to believe that JD is actually full on MAGA behind Trump. And what happened is see, when you're raised by, CIA establishment people like Tucker is, you kind of only see things one way, and you kind of go with the ebb and flow, and you learn how to be kind of like the snake oil salesman. You learn how to manipulate what you say and what you do to just get things done. And you don't really have like core tenets of belief. But JD Vance wasn't raised like that. JD Vance came out of poverty, deep, deep poverty. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever known somebody who grew up in that culture and then made it out, they tend to be somebody you cannot control. They tend to be somebody who says, F it, like I've been down that road. I've seen hell. I've been to hell and back. You can't control me. And unfortunately, in my opinion, that's what I've seen from JD Vance. And I know there's all that stuff out there. Whitney Webb, Peter Thiel controls him. There's just no evidence of that. There's evidence of support. There's evidence they knew each other. Absolutely. And just like what Tucker's saying. But what I'm seeing right now, in my opinion, is Tucker's frustrated. He thought he got in. And in this case, I believe Trump trumped him. Trump, just like Rubio. So for everybody who hates Vance and loves Rubio, they tend to forget that Rubio actually has a worse track record than Vance. Rubio supported amnesty. Rubio was a full-on neocon. Rubio helped pass the law that made it so only Congress could get us out of NATO and not the president. Rubio did all kinds of things that we don't like. And he's got a track record of doing them politically, unlike Vance. So you got to remember, but do I think Rubio is bad? No, I think Rubio has gone full MAGA. I think he's seen the light, because people are people. People, some can be controlled, some can't. Some wake up and others don't. And that's where we're at. And so the Vance thing, it's yet to be decided. But what I see here from Tucker is scrambling. He's scrambling how to figure out what's going on with Vance, because I think Tucker bet on Vance and that bet's not going well. And now he's trying to figure out why. That's what this says to me. You guys can take it the way you want, but again, I keep going back to everybody I've ever known who fought their way out of poverty, got their life together, came from a bad background. And then, Vance was, Marines. For everybody who's like, I got this a lot lately. Vance is skull and bones. No, you guys don't know how that works. Yale undergraduates are skull and bones. Vance was a graduate level. He went to Yale later. So all the things I'm always told about with Vance just never check out. Should we always hold everybody with some level of cynicism? Absolutely. Should we always make them prove it? 100%. Trump had to do that with me. I wasn't on the Trump train until I had some weird experiences, plus then the proof. And now I'm all in. And I trust Trump over everyone else out there, which is also why I trust Vance, because Trump trusts him. And in my experience, the last 10 years, the people who Trump trusts almost always turn out to be the good ones, regardless of what everybody else is saying. But again, we'll see how it plays out. But it's pretty clear to me that Tucker is frustrated here. And that's, to me, a tell.
I wouldn't want to wreck his life more than it has been wrecked by even talking about that. But I will just say that I remain a fan, and I'm glad I'm not in that position.
So what is your advice to him then in terms of what he does here? And
you think about how interesting this is real quick. Okay. Think about how interesting this is. they're having a conversation about like how to fix Vance. Why would you even have that conversation if he was actually your guy? Why don't you like more just, oh, I trust JD. That's kind of the road you'd go down, right? You would frame it. But also here's the other thing. Like he's already come out and said he'll never vote Republican again, which already means he won't vote Vance in the next election. He's going to find a reason not to. So Tucker's playing a strange game here.
Could you get behind him
what he does
if
is very limited. He can only do so much right now.
I mean, I don't know what he could do. I mean, I know what I would do, but I wouldn't ever get anything done. I mean, that's the thing. People like me in general don't get a lot done because they're so committed to saying what they think is true all the time. And they have all these inflexible principles and they're just like hard to deal with. That's why I've gotten fired so much in my life.
Yeah, that's why.
But you fired a lot. So what I would do, of course, is I would march into the Oval Office and say to Trump, like, knock it off. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the opposite of what we ran on. What are you doing? And you either stop doing it or I'm going to give a press conference every single day from my house. And
so we already heard that part. But do you understand what he just said? That basically he's a principled person and JD doesn't have the courage to be principled. So that's actually a knock. I just want you guys to understand like how to understand this stuff within context. Now, Tucker had more to say, and I want to show you guys a post after this.
Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Yeah.
And he was not murdered for his opinions on transgenderism, obviously. He was, I believe, and most people who knew him well as I did and was friends with him as I was, believe he was most likely murdered for his evolving views on Israel. Such
a crazy thing to say. First of all, Tucker was not good friends with Charlie. Tucker's 22, 23 years older than Charlie. They knew each other. They were friendly with each other. But also that was during the time when Tucker was playing the MAGA game. Charlie and him were not close. That is insane. But this is the thing they're all doing because, Charlie was the true MAGA influencer. Like nobody was as close to getting it as Charlie was. Charlie was the most trusted. He understood the best, how Trump works. And anybody who had questions about what Trump was doing, they'd listen to Charlie and Charlie would set the course and they'd trust it. They kill Charlie, and all of a sudden, all these podcasters, they cozy up to Charlie as if he's their best friend, and they use that to prop themselves up and to push narratives. See, Charlie wasn't the wall holding Trump back. Charlie was the wall holding these guys back. And deep down, they hate him for it, or they hated him. And we have posts from the past of Candace and being frustrated with Charlie, or Ian Carroll calling Charlie a schmuck. Like, we have all this stuff. And we have Tucker saying he hated Trump in 2020. We know how they play this game. But him coming out here and trying to use this as Israel, again, is crazy. But that's the continual psyop. Make it about Israel, destabilize the Middle East. That's what they want to do. That is the City of London playbook. And that's exactly what Tucker continues to do.
I get it. A lot's at stake. The world is at stake. But from my perspective, I have a duty to say what I think is true. I'm often wrong, and I always say that.
You're always wrong. But this is what's interesting. This guy right here, Andrew Follett, worked for Tucker and says flat out lying about this. And then he says Kirk was obviously murdered for his opinion on transgenderism. I only think that was part of it. I do think leftists murdered Charlie, but I also think it was leftists working with deep staters because Charlie needed to be taken out. Again, he was the one holding back the psyops. Get rid of Charlie, and you have a better chance of getting your propaganda back out there. Charlie was dangerous to them. And so would they have used this to radicalize somebody? 100%. But the interesting part is that he worked for Tucker and knows he's lying about it. I thought that was very interesting because we just keep catching these guys in their lies, don't we? So that's the latest from Tucker as he's crashing out, trying to find his have my cake and eat it too, be anti-MAGA, but like still keep a connection just enough in case I try to weasel my way back in. That's what we're seeing from Tucker. But again, the lies just keep coming. Here's Alex Jones. Well, he's Alex does not know what to do. Neither does Tucker. Neither does Megyn now that Trump has ended this war, because nothing they said would happen happened. We didn't get stuck. We didn't do boots on the ground. We didn't spend trillions of dollars on this one. We didn't lose tons of people. Iran obviously didn't win. They didn't have the super duper secret missiles to attack us. Everything they said would happen didn't happen. Oh, and yeah, we're also now 100% proven that Trump and Vance and the whole administration is not beholden to Israel. At this point, if you still think that, you're just retarded. There's no argument for that anymore. And so Tucker, Alex, Megyn, they're freaking out. What do we do? How do we get back in the good graces? Now, Alex has to make it all about him. In this video, Trump slams the warmongers criticizing the MOU. And Alex posts, "Did someone transplant my brain into Trump's skull the last week? Because it obviously was always me. I was the one always telling Trump, you can't do this. Israel controls you. Don't do it. Oh my God. What do I? He didn't do anything. I said it would happen. Well, then it means he learned from me. Of course, I'm the guy. Because Trump, he learned something, and I'm just smarter." These people are pathetic. They are absolutely pathetic. And again, there's no admitting they were wrong. Where's the post that says, you know what, I got Trump wrong? That's what you say if you're a real person, if you're an honest person. But we keep getting the doubling down, just like Tucker trying to double down on this. Oh, well, they're still controlled by Israel, but I like what he did with Iran, but that they lost their big guy, they lost their connection. We covered last week when Tucker was trying to toe the line, figure his way out of it. Megyn Kelly coming out and saying that, well, Trump finally woke up. Like, it's got to be about them all the time. None of them can admit Trump was right. It's the craziest thing. And just a reminder of retards out there in the faggot land. Here's Robert Barnes, his massive prediction about Iran. FYI, the White House expects 10,000 American soldier casualties, and they do indeed plan to put boots on the ground in Iran. Okay. This is what they were saying. These people, man, they're so pathetic. They're so pathetic. And just remember, like, this stuff's been always going on. It'll continue to go on. But the thing is now they're losing their traction. And as Eagle Ed Martin put it out there, which I just think is a great way to summarize this today, it says we should mark the 54th anniversary of the Watergate break-in by remembering this. It's the OG hoax with pre-FISA CIA running wiretaps on domestic politicians and then blaming Nixon campaign and Washington Post leading, not reporting. Only thing worse than the lying CIA is a two-faced liar John Dean and fiction writer Woodward. May they suffer in eternity. He's absolutely right. It's psyops, and we've been dealing with it forever. And all they do is they change how they do it. So it used to be Washington Post, ABC, NBC. There was not that many options. And so that's how they ran their psyops to us. Now, nobody pays attention to the mainstream media, even though they keep trying. So they've moved on. And they found new vessels to parrot their propaganda, to lie to us about everything. And, for a while, it might have worked because they're evolving with the times. They're going to keep bringing in new vessels and new exciting independent types. Oh, people want something more authoritative? We'll give them that version. They want something more independent? We'll give them that version. They're going to keep messing with us. But guys, at this point, the PSYOP is too exposed. We've learned the whole podcast to stand Fagosphere, America First, along with many of these people who claim to be MAGA that were riding on Trump's coattails only to turn on him, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. It's all out there now. The fraud's up, like it's exposed. We see you guys. And now we know we can't trust anything. But as long as people continue to listen to them by the millions, especially in Tucker's case, Alex, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, we also got to counter program it. We got to call it out. Because in the past, see, people tell me all the time, why do you even bring this stuff up? Why does it matter? Don't give them attention. You're feeding them. Am I? Because in the past, we didn't have anybody counter programming. We didn't have anybody telling the truth. We didn't have anybody breaking down the lies. And so we had generations believe stuff like Watergate was the greatest fraud ever. We had a legitimate anti-deep state president, Nixon, get pushed out. They killed Kennedy. They pushed out Nixon. We've been fed so many lies for so long that people still believe it's true, even when they wake up to a lot of other stuff. They still believe this is true because this was the only narrative for 30, 40 years because there was no way to bring it up. So for now, as long as people are still listening to them, as long as they have influence, I'm going to keep calling them out. I'm going to keep breaking it down because the answer is not silence. The answer is not ignore them. The answer is show the world how stupid and ridiculous they are. Then we can all laugh, which they hate more than anything else is being mocked because they really think they're special. And we're going to keep showing them they're not.